It's quite the find. Hello friends, and welcome back to Crow's Thrifty Finds. My name is Melanie. First off, I want to apologize for making this video a day late. My family has been very busy. We have a lot of hockey games going on. It's kind of the end of the season and it's been an exciting one, but I'm not here to talk about hockey. I am here to talk about reselling, but that is my excuse for putting out this video a day late. So apologies. But today we are going to talk on this channel about what sold for me recently on eBay. It's been kind of off and on. I've had some really slow days, and I've had some days where like 7 items sold, which for me is kind of high because I don't have a humongous store, you know. So 7 items in one day is a lot for me. So I'm going to talk about some of my favorite sales since the last video, and it'll hopefully help you all learn about items to be on the lookout for that sell for decent money. So let's start. First off, we have a North Face jacket. This was such a great score. Now, this was some retail arbitrage that I've been doing a little bit more of lately. So I paid $25 for this jacket. This was on clearance at Ross. Probably one of my best finds from Ross in a very long time. It's going to be hard to beat this one, I think. So I paid $25 for that jacket, and it sold for $95. So we're starting the video off with a bang. That was a fantastic sale. Next, I've mentioned these before. I got quite a few of these, and now these were the last of them, so they're sold. But this is a Bolo for sure. This is Scrubbing Bubbles Shower Cleaner. They no longer make this stuff, and the actual unit itself is a huge Bolo that I mentioned in a recent video. So I paid $5 for each of these bottles, and they sold for $43. So that was a nice profit made there. Excuse me. Next, I have an item that I always would get excited to find, and now I'm a little less excited about them. So TI-84 Plus calculators. Back in the day, these would sell in about 3 seconds because there was a distribution. It had to be a distribution company of some kind that would just mass buy these things. Like, I don't know how they make that happen, but it was just always the same company just buying them over and over again, and they'd buy them within like 10 minutes of being listed. But all of a sudden, that company is not purchasing stuff anymore, at least not that I've been seeing. So this sat for a while, and I had to keep lowering the price. Fortunately, I did not pay a lot for this calculator. I got it at a garage sale, and I paid only like $5 for it, and it ended up selling for $35. They used to go for more. So I'm not quite sure what's going on with TI-84 Pluses. So, I mean, if you can get them cheap, still pick them up, but it's just, they're not what they were for some reason. So it's good to know the Bolos, but it's also good to know items that are not as worth picking up anymore that maybe used to be worth picking up. So hopefully there's something for you all to gain in that. Still buy them, but buy them cheap. Next, we have a Bratz doll lot of these. These are like smaller Bratz dolls, like Bratz kids dolls. And I would like to say that do not buy these dolls individually. They're not worth a lot. These I happen to have as part of a lot of Bratz dolls, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But they did not sell for very much. So I sold these Bratz kids dolls for $15. So not too much at all. But when you buy a lot of stuff, it's not a big deal. But I just wouldn't look to buy these individually. How about we check out another Bratz doll? So we got another one here. This is Jade. And this was a pretty popular doll from a pretty popular series of Bratz dolls called the Rock Angels. These are good. So these were also from part of a lot, and this doll sold for $21. Thought I could have got more for her. Had to keep lowering the price, but she didn't have her complete outfit, so kind of is what it is. Next, not Bratz related, we have a pair of Figs scrubs. Fake scrubs sell for pretty good money if you can get them cheap. I find that my Goodwill does not seem to upcharge on them, so that is a plus. Now, they're not always available, but when I see them, I pick them up. So I paid $10 for these, and they sold for $33. So yay, that was a great pickup. Next, we have a North Face coat right here. Now this North Face I bought used, and it sat for a while. I gradually lowered the price. Thought I would get a little more. These fall spring coats can do okay, but again, buy them cheap. I paid $10 for mine. It sold for $30, so $20 profit, which is fine, but yeah, buy them cheap. Next, first Monster High doll to sell for me as part of that lot that I just bought recently off of Shop Goodwill. So this was Operetta. What's interesting is this doll is part of a set. It's a Monster High diner set. And the weird thing is, if you sell the whole set, like both dolls with the furniture, it sells for less than if you sell the dolls individually. So this is why it's important to do your research. And I discovered that. So and I did have the whole set, but I was not going to sell it as a whole set. So what I'm going to do is I have the Dracula doll that I haven't listed yet because I got to fix her dress a little bit. She's got a little problem with her dress. But I'm going to sell the furniture separate, and then I'm going to sell Dracula separate. So all in all, I'm going to make way more money that way. So yeah, Operetta sold $39.89. Good start to my sales of that lot. That lot was amazing. Next, we have a pair of Cabbage Patch Kids shoes. These are new. These are vintage. I paid $5 for them. Sold them for $23.20. I sent an offer to somebody. That person had been watching for a long time. I didn't actually think they'd accept it, and they did. So, well, I made a little less than I like to, but it was close. Next, we have a Marlboro t-shirt. I love getting Marlboro shirts because most people sell them for next to nothing because they probably paid next to nothing for them. So I almost always get these for $1, or less. It's great. So, and people want these. People collect these. These are desirable shirts. So often, I get these often. I probably picked up maybe, I would say like 6 or 7 of these over the summer. Like they're not the hardest things to find. And there's different levels of collectability and value for these. But this particular one was a good one. So I paid $1, sold it for $39. Great flip. Next, another Ross retail arbitrage purchase. This was a good one as well. This Roxy ski jacket I paid $12 for. Had a little bit of markings down at the bottom, on the white part on the bottom. And that is probably why it went on clearance. But I did disclose that in the listing. I said this stain's very possibly going to be there forever, so just buy it accepting that. And hopefully the person that read it, hopefully the person read the listing good. But so far I haven't heard from them, so hopefully it'll be okay. Paid, $12, sold for $60. So really good flip. I like buying winter jackets. It's a good thing to do. Next, this thing I've had forever. And this is very vintage G.I. Joe toy that I thought would sell much faster than it did and for much more than it did. But sometimes we are not always pleased by how our items do. So it happens. And again, this was also part of a lot. So it wasn't a big crisis to me to sell it as cheap as I did because I'm already well into the green. I bought a whole bunch of G.I. Joe vintage toys at one point, and this was in there. But the other stuff sold for pretty good money. This did not. So sold it for $16. Get out of my house. Get to your new home. I am fine with you leaving. And now my big lesson of the video here. I'm going to make a lesson out of this. This is a teaching moment here that I experienced. So just the other day, I picked this up. This is a Minnesota Gophers vintage sweatshirt, really cool looking, very obviously vintage. It had that nice vintage softness to it, just awesome sweatshirt. We are not Minnesota Gophers fans here in North Dakota. As a matter of fact, it is our rivals, but somehow we wound up with this sweatshirt at my local Goodwill. And they knew it was special. They priced it $15. Now, I could not find a comp for this particular sweatshirt anywhere. Couldn't find it. Not on Terapeak, not on regular eBay. So this was just a guessing game. Now, the most expensive gopher shirt I saw, it was a sweatshirt and it went for $100, but it was a very specific, like trendy kind of vintage design where like Minnesota was written like from the shoulder all the way across the chest down the other shoulder. So it was a very fancy design. I didn't find anything similar to what I had. So I listed this pretty late at night, one night, and then the next morning, very early in the morning, that sucker sold, and it sold for $60. I paid $15. And I probably drastically underpriced it. It was probably worth far more than that. So the teaching moment here is, I know as much as we want to push stuff out, and, I'm thinking about hockey season and how good the team's doing this year, I should have shot for the moon and asked for more. Was I willing to take 60? Yes. But I have a feeling I could have got $85, possibly more. Like, I don't need to be greedy, but sometimes as a reseller, we make kind of hasty decisions that can cost us some money. So that's just my tip for you all is like, if it's not something that's really like gonna, be less desirable in time because a season's gonna end or something, like shoot for the moon a little bit on some unknown products that could possibly be really rare. So this was just a lesson, but I'm still totally thrilled. $60 on something you paid $15 for is a fantastic flip. And my family that really does not like this hockey team is very glad that that sweatshirt's leaving our home. My daughter said I should have stored it in the shed because she didn't want it in the house. So anyways, but that's going to wrap up the video for this week. Hopefully you all learned some more items to be on the lookout for and bolos that, you were not aware of. Hopefully I can always be teaching a little something in each video, but that is going to wrap it up. So again, my name is Melanie. This channel's name is Crow's Thrifty Finds, and I'll see you next week.